Hello, welcome back to When Pigs Fly. I am Patty and I'm joined by Tracy and Renee. Hello, ladies.
Morning.
So today we are picking up a conversation because we felt we follow the energy here and we wanted to follow the energy on this one. Today we were talking about earlier today in we have our little sidebars and it led us to a discussion about courage. And so today we want to talk to you about how important it is to find your courage. It didn't leave you. It's in there. It's that should I say something or should I not feeling. And we want to talk about courage and free will and choices. And I am going to hand the mic over to Tracy, who is just such an incredible example of she is courageous regardless of what anybody thinks or says, because that's the path she's chosen to carve for all of us. So Tracy, I'm handing it over to you, sister.
Well, thanks, Patty. Thanks for that compliment. I'll take it.
It's true.
Um, and I think we kind of opened up to this conversation last time, and Renee reminded me of being willing to forge the path forward, because the path forward is beautiful and amazing, and it's full of love, and it's full of compassion and giving and supporting each other. And that is definitely the direction that we are headed and we want to head. But I know for me in my life, as I do forge that path, there are old beliefs and programmings that are very strong right now. And you could say because they are desperately trying to hang on and keep us in the old programming. But I know in my life, they are being accentuated. They're happening more often, more loudly. And for me, in my world with children and businesses, I have to really up my courage and conviction to stand in my truth, to stand in my knowing, and to keep saying yes for the collective humanity and for Earth and for the direction we're going. And we can dig into some examples of what that looks like, and I'll just give you a few of we spoke in a past episode about having free will and allowing people to have their journey, and I touched on the subject that I believe that a lot of people's journey has been hijacked. And for me, I can speak to what that means because I have kids in the school system, and I have kids that, we have social media, and to really say I'm in charge of my world and my life is my creation, which inhabits my children, my husband, my businesses, how things flow in my life and what I'm bringing forward in my life and what I wanted to look at, and simultaneously looking at the things that have been present that are still existing because we are breaking down the energies, but they are still present, and taking them one by one and saying, no, I do not subscribe to that. That is not my world. That is not my belief system. While simultaneously, and this is where it gets hard, you still have to play within the matrix and within the system as you are simultaneously breaking it down. So I hope some of this is going to hit, but because I can't, my kids will get kicked out of school if they do and say if they stand in their power, like I don't need to go to school 7 days a week. I can do it in 1 day. Well, no, you fail because you didn't take out the test and you have too many absences. In my businesses, oh my gosh, the code compliances that I have to stay in compliance with, or I will be fined or shut down. But I know I have restaurants on the water. They're awful for the earth. They're awful for the animals in the water. They're full of toxic chemical contaminants that are not good for the human being. So I'm just giving you a couple examples so you're not going, what is this lady talking about? There's real life situations and scenarios that are happening right now that we can, and I do believe this strongly, can be in both energies of I'm dismantling this as I'm bringing this in, and honoring both of them at the same time, because we can't just not look at one we have to, it is a simultaneously occurring, letting this go to bring this in. And that's a lot to talk of. And we get further down, I can bring some inflammatory subjects up that are, you're all in it. You're all in it right now, right here. I'm just going to throw them out there, like even the vaccination, that's a big one. The whole woke agenda, the non-binary, neutral gender. These are conversations that are a prime example of out with the old, out with the fear, out with the control, while we still have to navigate through them while we're bringing in the new. So I can span on any of that, but Renee, I'll let you take it for a minute.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to everything. And you're right. We're living in this world. And I know, sometimes, I think, our listeners sometimes will think, well, okay, well, how do I navigate exactly what we're speaking to today? So it's that aspect of exactly what you said, Tracy, sort of living in the both frames of mind or in energy, whatever, but as a collective set of beings, like, remember, we're all connected, we're all of the same energy field. The minute we all start to make that shift and change internally to say exactly what you're saying, look, I'm going to, forge forward. And I might be afraid to forge forward, but maybe that fear is really just a little, not so fearful as like the old energy. Maybe it's just a little bit of, I'm a little scared because I am going to finally speak my truth and I don't care who is going to listen to it. But I will tell you, when you start to speak your truth and you really feel this within, it is amazing how that is received in the world. Enough of us get this energy together and say, you know what? No, I'm not taking this shit anymore. And I know a lot of people, you spoke to the vaccination, and I know a lot of people got that whole aspect of, you know what, I'm not doing the vaccinations anymore, because they started to recognize and realize this wasn't good for and if you had a great experience, wonderful, that's fine. But I know a ton of people that were saying, you know what, no, I'm not getting the next one and the next one, the next one, because they started to recognize and realize what was going on within their physical form. From one perspective, I can say, from the energy perspective, I can say, well, how awesome is that? They started to pay attention to their body. Okay, so did it force them to look and say, oh shit, this wasn't good for me, and I'm not going to conform to what government or anything else is making me do? And I know a lot of people, a lot of nurses themselves walked out of their jobs, were actually fired from their jobs because they wouldn't take the vaccine, which, really says a lot. Like, well, good for them. And then what was it, a year or two later, all of a sudden they were all being hired back because there was this huge shortage. So it's the point of, when you really stand up for yourself and your truth, it may take a while, but as this collective, consciousness of beings that we truthfully are, as we start to stand up and say, no, I'm not going to do the bullshit that is, coming forward and what I'm being forced to do. And I'll use the example of health insurance. Okay, we have to have, New York State, I have to have health insurance. Otherwise, I'm, getting this huge fine or whatever the heck they're doing. But then if I don't, I'm being forced to, now you have to have a mammogram every year. I don't want to have a mammogram every year. For me, my belief system, that's not good for me. But I'm told, if you don't, well, then the doctor's going to say, no, I'm sorry. And that's what she said to me. No, if you're not going to do it, then I can't be your doctor. But I have to have a doctor, otherwise I'm kicked off the insurance. You know what I mean? So it's like all this stupid bullshit that goes around. And it's, me then saying, no, here, I have all of these studies that show this, this, and this. And I believe this. This is my belief system. It might not be everybody else's belief system, but if if I'm going to do this one test and I know it's not going to be healthy for my body, I'm pretty sure you can probably look up, Google has everything, right? You can pretty much look up scenarios and different things that, scientists and, I'm the first one to say science is way behind us, but let's use it in our favor, that science has proven, okay, well, this and this and this can be activated in your system if you do these things. And I don't want to say what they are, because I'm not going to put that into anyone's consciousness, but start to Google things and, giving it to a doctor who's going to listen and then say to me, and that's who I found, okay, you don't need to have that. I totally get it. This is my belief system. She's an energy person as well. She sort of gets the effect, but it's not accepting and honoring, well, okay, this is what they're saying I have to do. No, fight it, forge forward, because there is change here. We are making changes in the world. You've watched the energy updates from Patty, who is continually showing these beautiful downloads that we're continually getting, and they're coming faster and more frequent. Why do you think that is? That's because we're all standing up and we're taking a stance in our truth, speaking that truth and having the courage to do it, which is making a shift in the energy, which automatically starts to come down and make a shift in our entire world. And as that world's energy is shifting, exactly what we've been spoken to about before, is everything's breaking down. We have to stay with this. This is the way the world is going. You can work in both fields of like, okay, look, I'm not happy about this, and I'm really pissed off about this, but I'm going to send it love and whatever, but I'm going to stand in this, my truth, and I'm with this conviction and say, no, I'm not taking this shit anymore, and looking for these other things. The more of us that do that, the more the energy is going to shift, the things are going to break down. Why do you think everybody's trying to control us? The schools, the government, everything, because they're losing control. Is that whole aspect of everything is being broken down. And what are they going to do? All those that are trying to control, let me double down, let me do this. No, because they're losing control of us and that whole energy field. This is the way of the world. I've seen things within what we were referred to as the future. And I know, Tracy, you have too. This is all breaking down. We are moving into a field and into an existence that you will not believe what you are capable of doing. But the first step is feeling, knowing what feels right to me, and to having the courage to stand up and to speak your truth with conviction, regardless of what that means. And I know that sounds crazy. And if bring it to the point where you can bring it to. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to go jail. You don't have to do stuff, but bring it to the point where you're comfortable knowing you're helping the world shift and change. That's my 5 cents or 20 cents or whatever it is.
This is also such a strong and powerful message. And energetically, I can try and paint a picture here. Energetically, what happens is when each of us stands in our courage and becomes authentic. So if you disagree with what's being shoved down your throat, by you speaking your truth and being the more authentic you are to yourself, you create a beautiful wave of momentum that then we get more of what we really want. That's energetically what happens. But it takes each individual to step into that courage and know that that courage is your ticket to freedom. That your courage is your ticket to freedom, and understanding you're not in it alone. And when you step into your courage, you are radiating energy out that's going to help somebody else step into theirs. And start to, if you're saying like, this doesn't sit well with me, how can you express that? When you start to express your authenticity, you are raising your frequency. The more authentic you are, it comes back to self-love, like we can unpeel this layer, but the truth is can you speak your authentic truth? Or are you rolling over and just, saying, okay, take this pill, do that. Like, you're not a robot, right? You're a multi-dimensional being. And so that's how, from an energy perspective, that's how I see it.
Well, and even, from an energy perspective, if you don't have the courage, and I know that sounds judgy, but I don't mean it that way. If you don't have the courage, or you don't want to, step and say it to somebody, at least put the energy out there. Put the energy out there to, yeah, this all needs to change. And I'm going to now put that energy to, like, everything that I'm afraid to say, I'm going to put it out there so that it can join forces with the energy field of everything shifting and changing and spinning and spiraling, out of control, to break down. Because exactly what we said, the timelines are broken down. We're moving through all of these dimensions, all these energy fields. Change is actually a good thing. And if you're fearful of change, just start to, right into your body. Change is good. I mean, if you look at, you grew up. Okay, you grew up to this big, right? That was change. Like, you went through all sorts of changes. Change is actually a really good thing. And even if you look at, the world as it used to be and as it now, it's really come a long way. Well, what do you think we're moving into? A better world. So just sort of be open to that change, into that shift, and knowing that it's a good thing. Start to just say that change is good. Like let's go, bring it on. Let's bring on
It's
more.
it's really a great reveal. It's the grand reveal of who you really are. We're blasting away junk to reveal the diamond. Like
Uh-huh.
it's a reveal. So if you're afraid of the word change, don't be afraid of revealing the truth of who you are, because that's where you feel your best and highest good. That is
Yeah.
what you really want.
Yep. I love that. I love that. I love the way you say that. That's perfect. Tracy, what do you got, girl?
So, because I'm trying to think of, what could people come up with real life examples that are confusing when we're having this conversation. And what I've noticed, and I self-analyze myself, my life a lot, that there's a lot more scenarios and situation being thrown into our world that I feel are it's total hypocrisy. And what I feel like we've done collectively as a society is we got to be politically correct. We don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. And we continually focus on a very small percentage of the whole, where I always say, no, we need to focus on what's good for the whole and stop trying to justify what's good for just a tiny segment. And there's so many examples and conversations that we could shoot off in this, but I feel like people are afraid to ask questions, to see a larger perspective. But there's so many hypocritical things going on in our world that it's like a dog chasing a tail. And honestly, they come into my realm that I have to call them out because, again, I'm not going to play the game. So if I have to call it out and hurt someone's feelings, then that's what I'm going to do, because that person's feelings aren't taking into consideration everyone's feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we need to start saying, hey, listen, I'm not playing that game. I'm going to expose you to a bigger perspective. I can give you a small example. I'll stick with that because I can give one that will probably, someone will be, charged by it. But just in my restaurants, people come in and they leave bad reviews and they take it from their perspective, from a very small microscopic scope of what they think that happened. And I love ask for universal intelligence. Show me the truth. Show me the bigger picture. And the last few that have come into the restaurant, I happen to be there. I happen to know exactly what was going down. And the review that was said was very jaded, was very, people like to use inflammatory words like I was disrespected and I was discriminated against. And their version of the story was totally inaccurate. I witnessed the whole thing. So what would most people do? Oh my God, well, I better take care of and make sure they're heard and rectify the situation. And I'm here going, yeah, that's not what happened. And it's people like you using that perspective that are breeding the problem that we already have going on right now. And that example can be used in so many other examples of what's going on right now in the world. And take it for what it is, but it's a bunch of hypocrisy. I'm just going to say it, like the whole, we let all the illegals over the border. I can't get anyone to work in my restaurant, but I can't hire an illegal. Well, if we're going to let them all in, let's use them. Let me put them to work. Do you see what I'm saying? Hypocrisy. If they're allowed in, why is it illegal for me to employ them? It's totally hypocritical. Or, I'm just going to throw it all out there. The non-binary, I'm getting sued for sexual discrimination. Well, I'm sorry, but you can't say that male and female don't exist because we're non-binary. Well, then you can't have your cake and eat it too. And I think the more people that maybe it's not in your world, but open your eyes, see a different view. And I'm not saying one's right or wrong. It doesn't matter if you believe in the woke agenda or you believe illegals should come over the border. What I'm saying is the hypocrisy of it has to be, we got to open our eyes and we got to say, hold on, you can't have two sides of the coin. Because if you're saying this, then this has got to come in alignment with me. Are you guys tracking what I'm saying? The hypocrisy right now
Absolutely.
is
Yeah.
mind-blowing to me.
Know what popped into my head, Tracy, as you were saying this? Labels are energetic stop signs. when we have labeled the fuck out of everything to the point that you go, here, that's a stop sign. Here, that's a stop sign. Well, how are you going to get some flow? How are you going to get some flow? Do you really need to put that stop sign there? Is that your truth? Is that stop sign your truth? And I take this label thing to depths. I take the label to what my food is called, because that is, I want a different experience. And so what are you labeling? What are you labeling? And are you going along with that now? Because it's true. Like what you just described is really just a manic gerbil wheel from hell.
Seriously. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's wild. Well, and that's the thing. Like, I think we had spoken to this, before on a couple episodes, we sort of touched on it, where they're just words. They're just things. So why do we put so much on it? But also, Tracy, I love that, just said we are really kowtowing to such a small version of things and so afraid to say things and so afraid to do things like, oh my God, well, I can't do this because it might be perceived out in the world as this. Well, no, have the courage to say, you know what? No, I don't care how it's perceived. This is my truth, and I'm going to put the right energy behind it. You start to put things out there in fear. Well, if I say this or if I do this, somebody's going to, attack. Start to put that right energy to it. That's at least a beginning point, because it's going to take some time for things to change and for people to wake up to that point of like, wait a minute, let me look at this from a different point. You're right. I'm so glad. I'm so thankful. Tracy, I know you've got kids in school, and I'm so thankful mine are out, because I've seen the craziness that's going on and how they're controlling, again, out of fear and trying to, oh, well, I spend this time and I should do me the teacher or the principal, whatever. And it's like, no, these are our children. And no, this is not what we're going to stand up for. But again, standing up for it and not being afraid to say no, and not being afraid to say, I'm not going to kowtow to this group. This is the way my reality is. And if you want to come here, to my place, well, okay, great. My house, like, then you're coming in with my energy field. And if you don't like something there, then how about you leave and not say anything? And those that are bad mouthing and doing all this stuff out there, they're just, the feel I always get to that stuff is they're just looking to be heard. Mm-hmm. So, if you get somebody that's bitching and complaining to you, just say, I hear you. I hear you. Like, I'm listening and I hear you. You don't have to agree with it. Like, I'm listening and I hear you, but look at it from this point too. Like, don't be afraid to challenge somebody, but in this place of love, where you're saying, again, I say challenge, but, having the courage to speak and say, to just look at it from this point too, though, because I feel like those that are doing those things, they're doing this. And exactly what you said, Tracy, they're not looking at everybody else. This is this is what I want in the world. And why are we kowtowing to those people? It's such a small area. I mean, in not my school district, but a district, just around the corner there, they actually, for the children that were perceiving themselves as cats, they literally put in litter boxes in the bathroom. Like, are you freaking kidding me? These children don't like, I mean, it's so insane to me that I'm like, okay, at what point do you say, no, I'm not going to, like, there's a whole bunch of kids in the school, but here for these 5 people that are, perceiving themselves as cats now, that's what I'm gonna do. How about they're just trying out anything and everything? And they said, like, how foolish we all are for kowtowing this, because I'm going to push the boundaries and see, okay, they're listening to them. Well, why not listen to all of us? They'd be like, no, we're not doing that anymore. And allowing that aspect to come forward. Have the courage to speak up. Start putting the right energy to things so that these changes can be maybe a little easier. But if we've got this collectiveness coming together as one, believe me when I say the changes will be quicker, easier, and with a little more grace and ease. But those that are forging the forefront, it's not so graceful and not so easy. So that's my 28 cents. My $1.80.
I love it. Tracy, anything to add to that?
I just think it's a good point. To me, again, I go back to the hypocrisy of it, of the crazy things we do. I love that you brought up the litter box and the cat, or even the medical thing. Like, it's such a convoluted mess. You have to have insurance, but it's almost like designed to drive us crazy and to make us fail. But and then, you kind of are, well, I have to, or this, that's everything. And I do energetically, once we start breaking the chain, those systems aren't going to be able to stay in place. And it seems like, I know for me, let me say this, with my kids, with my businesses, I know where my heart is. I know that I am the least, I just don't, that never has been part of my field. I'm not racist. I'm not like, I really want everyone to feel love, to have opportunity, to thrive. I know with 1,000% certainty that that's my come from. So when I'm standing up in a lawsuit or in a review or at the school, I know I am from a place of love. So I can stand up with such conviction that that's where the love comes from. And it might come out of my mouth sounding, as my daughter tells me, passionately direct instead of angry aggression. But that's why I'm so adamant in my courage and my conviction, because I know it is from such a place of so strongly wanting our world and this life and humanity and society and every individual to step into their true power, not demanding litter boxes and bathrooms because we're cats. Our truth and our true power of let me do me. Let me be me, because I'm not going to hurt anyone. I'm not going to take advantage of everyone because I'm in a loving, truthful place. So just let me be me and do me, because I am not trying to take advantage of people. But do you see, I really strongly feel we're breaking away from, I'm saying breaking away from the people that are hamstrung, gridlocked in the name of all the other situations that we spoke to.
It's a false power. And the foundation doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't exist anymore. And now this is the residue. And what can we do to get to clear skies faster is have courage and step into your power. You're not powerless. We were meant to think that. And I mean, the long story is that we created it too, but
yeah, so true.
We did.
So true.
But because we created, we know we have the power to make it right.
Yeah. And as Tracy, as you were speaking, the powers that be were showing me this whole thing here. And you said something that then they were like, yep, that's what she needs to do. Actually, picture it, and people can just do this. Okay. So when you know, you see, you feel, you hear a story, whatever, that you're like, oh my God, like that's crazy. That all needs to be broken down. They're saying, imagine a grid in front of you, which is, this way and this way is how I see it. And they're saying, you don't need to see it, you don't need it, but if you just say, you know what, I'm going to break that grid. And they're saying, just do that like you're breaking something. And they're saying, go up
I love that.
and then come back down. They're saying you break that, you're going to assist the energy and all of that control, all that aspect, you assist that breaking. And then they're saying just wash it with this beautiful white light. So break, wash, anything, everything they're saying, you will be amazed at what starts to shift and change. And then they're showing all these cells and all the organisms, they're saying, just shifting and changing within the world and the energy. So that's awesome.
Love that.
Can I just, because
Love that.
now go watch some of Patty's energy reports, break those black lines, wash the white energy. The Schumann resonance is assisting us big time. Did you track with that, Patty? What she said is literally the energy reports that Patty's doing. Like we're so assisted.
Yeah. And when we see, well, it says that's the infinite intelligence. There are signs everywhere. And it's as we come into awareness, it's like, wow. But yeah, it's absolutely, it's exactly what the pattern does. We're in a stitching pattern where it's purging to, and then wash it with the white. And it literally does make a grid. It's pushing down. And so, the amplitude one is literally on a grid, and it shows you how the energy is reacting. And what Renee just brought in, which is so freaking cool, is again, use your power to direct it. If you can't speak it, do that. You're still contributing in the same way. Remember, our words is just an extra tool for communication. We have that power and the energy. Let's direct our own energy and have that courage and have that courage. And if you're tapped upon to say, what do you think? Speak your truth. Speak your truth. Watch out for labels. Your labels are stop signs, and the labels are all created out of fear. It's all out of fear. I want a different outcome. If you want a different outcome, step into your truth. Step into your truth. Wow. Amazing discussion, ladies. Renee, thank you so much for the grid exercise. I love that. I love that. And maybe I'll add that into the next Schumann report so that if anybody misses this,
Yeah.
they will catch that. So, ladies, have an amazing, amazing day. Thank you so much. What a very, very important discussion. And I'll see you